In 1995, MacArthur Wheeler robbed not one but two banks by covering his face in lemon juice, thinking it would make him invisible to the security cameras. His certainty in his misunderstanding of the chemical properties of lemon juice led to studies by psychologists Dunning and Kruger that would eventually earn them the Nobel Prize for the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect states that the less competence, the less knowledge that somebody has about something, the more likely they are, not knowing what it is they don't know, to think that they know what they're doing. Not only that, but they will, thinking that they know everything, assume that other people know even less. The flip side of this is that people who do actually have competence and experience and skill in a certain area, knowing what it is that they don't yet know, will usually say that they know less than they actually do and underestimate their own abilities. This week's Parshat Pinchas, has a great example of the Dunning-Kruger effect in action and some lessons that we can learn for our own lives. At the end of a portion that is mostly about inheritance and who will inherit the land when we get to Israel, we end with the story of the daughters of Tzlafchad. Most of the laws have said that the boys, the sons, will inherit the land, but as a family of 5 daughters, and their father having passed away, they come to Moses and they say, "We should inherit the land." Moses goes to God to say, "What should I do?" And God immediately affirms they should in fact inherit the land. But the Midrash expands on this moment. It says that there was a judicial system, right? First you had the lower levels of the courts of 10, and then the court of 50, and then the court of hundreds, and then you go to Moses. And that's what Benot Tzlafchad did. The daughters of Tzlafchad first went to the smallest court and said, "We should inherit the land." And they said, "This is a matter for someone who is a greater judge than I am." And then they went to the courts of 100, and they were told the same thing. "This is a matter for someone who knows more than I do." And so finally they end up at Moses, and Moses, the Midrash tells us, knew what the answer was. But still, as Moses being the most humble man who ever lived according to the Torah, still Moses said, "There is someone who is greater than I am," and turned to God for the answer. God, being the top level, responds with the answer. But we can learn the lesson not just about the laws of inheritance, but also about the place of humility in our own thoughts about our own assumptions of knowledge. When we have confidence in our competence, it is incumbent upon us to take a moment and reflect and say, am I really sure, or do I just think I know? And even if I think I know and I'm fairly sure, it always behooves me to study more, to listen to someone who truly is an expert, and to use humility instead of my latent narcissism to come to the lesson that will lead me in the right path. As we enter into Shabbat, Shabbat being a time of quiet and peace and reflection, let's take the time to ignore some of the noise that's out there in the world, and oh, is there a lot of noise, of everyone who thinks that they know what they're talking about. To know that perhaps I don't need to be as confident in my own competence. I can say those scary, terrifying, but incredibly important and Jewish value words, "I don't know," and that's okay. Shabbat Shalom.